I hear the tiny click of the pin against metal, a bell ringing right against my breastbone. Dress whites pressed sharp, hair pinned tight, shoes bright enough to mirror the ceiling lights. The skipper fixes the silver wings to my chest and gives the line they say at every pinning. Keep them as clean as the sky you fly. 24 handshakes, 18 hugs, 4, proud of you, S, warm water sliding by. I thought I'd finally made the far bank of the river country music, a hint of JP8, a future. My parents step forward, the photographer's flash pops. Dad hugs me like a coat hanger. Mom slips a thick envelope into my hand and smiles. A little something from the family. I open it expecting a messy, so proud card and a couple of gift cards. No card. A stack of Times New Roman, top page titled Family Support Agreement. Bullet points. Advance cash to rescue my cousin within 30 days. No reversal once signed. A sermon on the moral duty of the successful child. Then the nail 30,000 plus processing fees if late. The word crypto sits in quotes like a polite excuse for a very modern mess. Applause still claps at the back tables. Someone dings a glass. Mom tilts her head, breeze soft. Sign it, honey. Family sticks together. Dad loops his arm through mine, adjusts me for the camera, squeezes just enough to steer. I hold the ceremonial smile a few seconds longer, then look down at the clause that says no claims if funds are lost. Only one sentence gets out of my mouth. I'm not signing. Dad smirks. You're joking. My cousin slides in with practiced wet eyes. It was just bad timing. The exchange went down, my buddy said wait, then it locked, and it's the same story I've heard my whole life in different costumes. Never their fault. I'm the emergency brake. My job is to pull at the right time. I breathe in the stale candy corn perfume hanging in the air. I'm not signing. I repeat, voice as even as a pre-flight checklist. I'm not wiring money. I'm not putting my name on anything tied to your investment. A crease flickers between Mom's brows like a worn fold in an old blanket. Dad drops his voice just enough for the table to hear. Who do you think got you those wings? A few relatives swivel. Silverware stalls against porcelain. My sweat did, sir, I say. I keep my eyes off the lens. If you turn your back to the camera, the picture still exists, but the story changes. Mom plucks a deep red cocktail off a passing tray. The kind you make so the fruit smell hides the liquor, and in one tidy motion like wiping a stain, she empties it down the front of my whites. Cold, sticky liquid slides from collar to chest, a red smear across white, threading the edge of the silver wings. A single room-wide O rises. My cousin breaks into sobs. An aunt says loud enough, counting pennies against blood. I don't remember where the envelope landed. Maybe on a plate, maybe by the champagne. I remember my fingers finding the new wings, pinching the tiny catch, twisting once, lifting them free. Under the lights, the silver sits in my palm with a few pink drops like smudged lipstick. I take a napkin and clean them slowly, one careful stroke at a time, until the metal throws back an honest shine. While everyone waits for me to blow up or break down, I set the wings back where they belong, press the pin home, and hear a small, certain click, like a safety pin finding the hole. I'm not signing, I say the third time steady, and I'm not sitting at this table. Dad growls, you're shaming the family. I refuse to be ashamed on anyone else's behalf. I answer and turn. The clasp on the back of my dress scrapes my skin, just enough bite to remind me I'm carrying both my hardness and my softness out the door. The hallway is cold like an unheated avionics bay. Country music fades behind me. Outside, the bay air hits my face, salt and damp, like a palm set lightly to my cheek. I slide into the driver's seat and set my phone on my thigh. The screen wakes. Bank email, subject line barred across. Alert. Activity detected related beneficiary. Before I can open it, another banner climbs. We detected a device attempting to access your account from a known contacts network. My lips go dry, the wings under my shirt feel cold again. I breathe slow, cockpit style, count 1 to 4. In the rearview, I catch myself with a wet map down my front. Storms always start as innocent clouds. I wipe my neck, turn the key, then stop. In the cup holder sits a white cloth napkin I grabbed on the way out, one corner stained red. I fold it into a small triangle and slide it into the glove box, part evidence, part oath. The phone buzzes. An incoming call flashes my uncle's name, then ends. I don't call back. I stare at alert one more beat. The checklist lifts in my head. Freeze transfers, call fraud line, pull credit report, log everything. But first I lay a palm over the wings, feel the familiar weight, and tell myself one quiet sentence. Honor first, the rest can wait. I drop into drive and pull away from a bright hall where, in the space of an hour, I was praised and humiliated by the same people. At the first turn, I click the blinker like signaling myself. From here on out, new flight plan. No lead except the rules I learned on the flight line and in those long nights at the shop. Another email pings. I read the single line before the light changes. Beneficiary name matches a family member recently added. I press my mouth into a pilot's smile at weather ahead, spine straight, eyes open, hands quiet. Screen dark. Merge. And under my sternum, the faint echo of that click travels with me, music no one else can hear. The salt wind rolls across the parking lot, bringing kelp and that damp metal smell off the sodium lamps. I open my car door. The dome light flicks on, spotlighting the dried red streak on my collar. When I shut the door, the world shrinks to 4 panes of glass, a low-pressure cabin no one can reach but memory. I lay the phone face down on my thigh, close my eyes, and listen to small waves tap rock like someone counting with a spoon against a cup. I don't cry. I think about our old mobile home. 2 bedrooms, tin roof ticking in the rain, the floor bowed where the fridge sat. A garage calendar taped over old nail holes. Every time a bill arrived, Mom folded the paper and sighed, rehearsed. You're strong, help me through this month. At 13, I washed dishes at a roadside diner, hands smelling like old fry oil. Dad promised to pay me back when the next job hit. The job never came. Only longer stories and a look that made you feel guilty if you didn't open your wallet. One summer afternoon, my cousin rode my bike into the neighbor's fence, bent the front fork like a giant hairpin. He cried and said the ground was slick. Dad looked at me. A good girl takes the blame so folks calm down. I carried the 20 mom pressed into my palm, apologized next door, heard the neighbor grumble, it's fine, then watched my cousin lick an ice cream on the couch that night without a scratch. I remember that feeling, like someone tugged my waistband a notch tighter. You can breathe, but every breath reminds you your space is smaller. At 17, I worked evenings in a civilian airplane shop, not chasing sky, just the better pay. First time pulling a prop, my grip slipped. Blood ran into my palm, thick as strawberry syrup. The guy next to me tossed a rag. You're tough. I smiled. In the shop, the only thing respected is knowing what you're doing. At home, the only thing respected is knowing when to shut up. At the lathe, you can hear metal change its voice the moment the cutter bites true. At dinner, the sound changes when Dad sets his spoon down. That's when you know someone will be tonight's shield. Usually me. I open my eyes. Pickup trucks salted white, antennas trembling in the wind. I crack the window and let the brine slip in. Salt's funny. It makes you remember cuts that healed slow, stinging at the first touch of water. I touch the wings under my shirt. Back in the hall, they wanted me to sign something with a smooth name. Family Support Agreement, meaning I become the zero interest bank, the risk officer, the exit pipe if the thing blows. They take the vocabulary of love and pin it to a financial act. They've done it all my life, renaming debt as duty. I flip my phone over. The bank alert is still there, plus a second line. We temporarily disabled external transfers pending verification. I exhale like someone flipped a breaker in my head. I turn on the radio. The local DJ cracks through static. Short update. A federal probe is widening into crypto laundering. Wallets hop layers to avoid reports. I turn it down and let that voice rim my thoughts like a thin frame. No one in my family says laundering. They call it a bad beat. I'll be told I'm too sensitive, too rigid, too cold. I'll hear, family first, you're the last one who should give up. Another time, almost comedy if it didn't taste so bitter. My cousin cracked our front door glass. Dad asked who did it. He stalled, then looked at me. I smiled and said, I slipped. Mom looked at me the way she looks at a bill paid on time. I taped cardboard over the frame, clear tape hissing, night air threading the seams for a month. Each gust made the tape squeal like a collection notice. Honor first, I whisper, rinsing the salt out of my throat. I pull a thin notebook from the glove box, the one I use for night flight checklists, and write. Step 1, freeze transfers. Step 2, call fraud line. Step 3, pull credit report. Step 4, record all contact. Step 5, no signing, no wiring, no naming. My neat block letters make me grin. Even in defense, I brief like it's a flight plan. The phone buzzes, a strange number flashes and dies. Voicemail dot appears. I tap it. My uncle's voice, low, a little gravelly, warm like good wood. Kiddo, it's me. I'm near base. Don't sign anything. Call me when you're safe. I've got something important. I replay it, this time listening to the breath between sentences. He isn't the panicky type. If he says important, there's a layer I can't see yet. I lean back and stare into the space between lamp posts. I try to picture the dinner table version of this moment. She's ungrateful, forgot who raised her. I feel myself shrink in their eyes every time I grow somewhere else. I nudge the radio up. The host is talking about banks auto-filing suspicious activity reports when money does the multi-wallet whirl and lands back with family. My mouth tightens. That pattern sounds like a dance I've seen hinted in the envelope's shiny words. Family, advance, no claims. I pull the seat belt across my chest, click. That tiny, honest click settles me. I can't rewrite the years, but I can read this moment differently, not as a demand but a systems check. My system is discipline, black and white paper, people who keep their word. My uncle's part of that system. So are my friends. Their BBQ smoke still in my hair, hickory warmth hanging on. Hand hovers on the key, pauses, turns. Engine catches smooth. I set the phone in its cradle. My thumb hangs over my uncle's name but doesn't press. I need 2 minutes to hear the engine idle, like listening to your own heart before a sprint. Outside, a couple walks by, laughing, her blue dress swinging. I think, I wish life had runway lights, white along the edges, green at the end. The radio jumps to an ad, then back to crypto. I shut it off and let the lot go quiet again. I play my uncle's voicemail a third time and save it. I type, I'm safe, I'll call now. I don't send it yet. In the mirror, my face is less red. The wings under my shirt feel like a charm. I drop into gear and roll toward the gate. A soft buzz, another alert. Fraud department. We placed a temporary hold on a new beneficiary request. I nod to myself like someone just said copy. At the turn, I tap the radio back on. One line sticks. Don't move money under family pressure. Call fraud as soon as you suspect. I let a small smile slip. I hit call, 2 rings. I draw a breath, taste the faint salt. Uncle, it's Avery, I say when the line picks up. I'm ready for the important part. And I know that after that public slap in the face, it's time to chart my own map, not the one they drafted to march me to the pay window. I set the phone back in its cradle, letting my uncle's call end on a short promise. Don't sign anything. I'm nearby. We'll talk when you're safe. The road along the bay shimmers under streetlights, palm shadows smearing across the windshield like slow-turning props. My hands rest easy at the wheel. A pale ring of red still stains the cuff of my sleeve. I stare at it and remember the first time my blood hit metal, not from a cocktail, from an over-torqued bolt. 17. Working nights at a civilian airplane shop off the highway. The place smelled like oil, rubber, and that hot iron tang you never forget once it hits your tongue. I was small in a world of big frames, cap brim too low, gloves slick with sweat. Nobody talked much. Orders came as a nod, a hand signal, a wrench held out. I learned to hear the breath of the compressor, the dry clack of a starving bearing, the slight new tremor when a dead spot in a motor finally goes alive. First night pulling a prop, I set the torque wrench right where the manual said and slipped. The blade kissed my knuckle and opened a neat line. Blood soaked the rag, thick and candy red. My heart thumped in my ears. The old tech set a hand on my shoulder. Don't baby it, clean it, back to work. I rinsed under the tap, bit down when the antiseptic bit back. When I returned, he handed me a coil of safety wire. Lock it, then call me. My fingers shook once, then quit. The thread, twist the right way, break at the right angle. He glanced, nodded. No fireworks, no certificate, just a nod. You belong enough to understand this place's silence. At home, I used silence like tape, patching cracks till the next gust. In the shop, silence was how respect sounded. I loved metal's fairness. Same torque, same groove, same result. It never asked if you were firstborn or spare. It didn't know you're strong, so carry it. It only knew Newton and the truth in your hands. Freshman year rock, I stood on the parade deck in a uniform ironed razor flat, borrowed shoes buffed bright enough to double as a sky. The instructor spoke like a metronome, every sentence a hammer tap. I botched a pivot and heard my name, no lecture. Again. I did it again. And again until my body learned the turn wasn't just in the ankle, it was in the spine. Mornings after that, I ran the loop around the quad, breathing 2 in, 2 out. No one from home clapped. The plaque of top shooters held names I didn't know. But the first time I shot pistol, the tight ring on the target shrank a hair every string, and I understood. There are measures nobody can take from you. At my first rock ceremony, I looked at the family chairs. Empty. A program lay there, tented by the ceiling fan's breeze. I let the ache pinch once, then lifted my chin. Afterward, the instructor pressed an old metal name clip into my palm, letters half blurred by overuse. Good hustle. I kept it as proof that some people see you when you do things right, not when you apologize for someone else. I didn't choose the military for the movie myth or the promise of far horizons. I chose it because I needed a place where rules don't change with dinner moods, where checklists are treated like scripture, where a signature means exactly what it says. I learned to lace boots so the extra won't snag a pedal, where a safety pin lives, that every flight has a brief and a debrief, and every mistake has a line in the log, no let it slide. Back at the shop, I slowly led without any title by taking the jobs nobody wanted, cleaning metal shavings out of trays, polishing the fuel cap till it flashed, checking every O-ring for a nick. My hands memorized things. The right click of a latch, the right bite of a fastener, the off-balance hum of a prop not quite true. Some nights I shut the lights and stood alone in warm oil smell and felt something like peace. No one asking me to pay for them, to stand in for the family, to pretend silence is a virtue. I only had to answer one question. Did you do it right? Rock gave me something else. Teammates. Not the group project kind where the strong kid does the hard part and everyone signs. The kind where the person to your left trusts you to raise your hand at the right moment, and the one to your right trusts you not to drift. One rainy night drill, a kid in my flight lost the beat and almost tripped on the turn. I dropped half a step, touched his elbow, enough to steady, not enough to shame. During the break, he muttered, "Thanks." I said, "Keep pace." That's our kind of favor, no invoice, no interest. In those years, I learned to say no, too. No to the weird asks from home, spot me a few days. Just sign this real fast. I sent what I could, regularly, no explanations, no stories. When I said no, the calls went quiet for weeks. Then one day a text would land. "You're strong, you can handle it." As if strength were an infinite well for other people to draw from. I turned down the road to my complex. The base gate winks red-green like runway lights. My reflection ghosts the glass, white blouse with a dried blush stain, wings sitting exactly where they should. All those shop nights, those drills, those few right-on-time nods, they're the hidden rivets under paint, holding skin to frame without fanfare. The phone buzzes. Group text from the crew. "You home yet? Pit's hot. Brisket's ready." Another, "No questions tonight, just eat." I smile from the middle of my chest, like a compressor dumping pressure. I text back one word, "On my way." I pull into the lot, kill the engine, lock the door, and look up at the string lights flickering along the balcony rail. The bay wind is still salty, but here the hickory smoke has half the sky. My palm covers the wings under my shirt. My heartbeat taps back. Metal taught me this. If you over-torque a bolt, don't force it, back off and tighten correctly. If a weld doesn't take, don't paint over, run the bead again. In my friend's kitchen, I'll be allowed to loosen and red-ighten what needs it. I thumb the phone. The group chat sits at the top, glowing. "Doors unlocked. Come in." I step out of the car and into a debrief of my own, no whiteboard, no laser pointer, just the smell of meat, the crack of a soda tab, and a few people who know how to stand still when you need quiet and ask the right question when you're ready to answer. The apartment door sits ajar like an invitation. I nudge it open and the smell hits. Hickory smoke, black pepper, onions on the pan, scrubbing the last sea salt out of my hair. Jonah, boots still dusted from the flight line, hands me a clean towel. No questions, no commentary. I pass the kitchen. The little smoker outside breathes an orange glow like a campfire in miniature. On the table, a tray of thick-cut brisket, brown loaves, a jar of homemade pickles. They all look at me the way people do when they've been watching the wind for a while and choose exactly when to open the door. "Shower," Madison says, flipping a slab, eyes steady. "We'll keep the fire." I nod. In the bathroom, I peel off my dress whites. The faint red bloom unfurls in the sink and dissolves. The mirror fogs. I scrub my neck, thumb the silver wings under a fresh t-shirt, hear a small scrape of metal, still here. When I come out, I smell cheap soap braided with BBQ smoke, the scent of a place that isn't fancy but is warm enough to wrap around the sharp edges. The dining table becomes a field expedient command post. Blank notebook open, ballpoint lying crosswise. I sit, slide the brisket aside, pull the notebook in. "Let's build a defensive perimeter," I say, loud enough for the room. Nobody laughs. Jonah leans in. "COA," right on cue. I write fast and straight. Freeze all external transfers. Call the fraud line to confirm the hold. Credit freeze at all 3 bureaus, set 90-day alerts. Change every password, enable MFA everywhere. Collect evidence, emails, logs, forged signature scans, uncle's voicemail. Draft a summary letter, one to family, one to hold for JAG/compliance. No in-person meetings, written contact only with a trail. Madison adds in neat print. Check beneficiary changes last 14 days. I nod and slot it in. I assign tasks like a crew chief, Jonah on speaker with the fraud desk, Madison pulling credit reports, me drafting the transfer lock email, each line an order, not a plea. Each task done, I score a line through it, the paper rasping like tires biting sand as you climb out of a bog. Tactical withdrawal is still courage. Madison quotes the young LT from training, setting baked beans by my elbow. Tonight, withdraw from anything without paperwork. I give her a stiff, gray-tedge smile and a nod for thanks. Around here, we use short sentences for long jobs. The phone buzzes mid-table. Jonah taps speaker. The banker's voice is even. We can see attempts to add a new beneficiary. We've placed a temporary hold pending verification. I confirm slow and precise full name, address, last four on the pay account. Please note, she adds, if there's family pressure, do not proceed. We can flag potential coercion. Copy, I say, and end the call. Another strike through the list. Madison's pen ticks the tabletop, keeping time. While Jonah rides hold music with bureau number 2, I open photos and zoom in on the scan Mom sent with the family support doc. The strokes run the wrong way for my dominant hand. The capital letters wobble, an earnest clumsiness from someone who believes kinship is the best ink. Screenshot. Timestamp. I save my uncle's voicemail and rename it Whistleblower01. WAV. A log entry, not a keepsake. The balcony door is cracked. The wind carries meat smoke in, snapping my head to post-flight debriefs. A whiteboard, a handful of bullets, the OIC asking, what do we improve? I look at my crew, people splitting the load the way you split a heavy ammo can, and know the answer tonight is simple, keep doing this. Equifax done, Jonah thumbs up. TransUnion pending, Madison reports. I rotate through passwords, stack on second factors, jot down completion times. Each neat block letter pulls me farther from that wiped-out feeling, like GPS rewiring after a tunnel. I draft the family email, short, courteous, as cold as tempered steel. Timeline of events. Attachment of the agreement. A clear statement that forging my signature is a crime. Boundaries. No transfers, no signatures, no name usage. All communication in writing, I add, for mutual accuracy. No promises, no apologizing on anyone's behalf. By the sink, a sauce pot blips. Madison slides over a fresh slice of brisket. I bite. Smoke and fat melt like a blanket over my shoulders. From the parking lot to this table, I crossed a line where honor isn't a loud toast. It's a chain of small, consistent acts. In my head, the pins click from earlier picks up backup singers. Pen on paper, keys tapping, the soft beep of the recorder. The phone lights again. My uncle's name. I answer. It's me, he says, voice low and level. I'm near the bridge. I've got printouts, flow charts, wallet maps, and a Legion buddy who ran bank compliance. Don't go anywhere. I glance at my crew. They nod like a formation taking the step. I'm here, I say. He hesitates a half-beat, then adds, You're doing good. Don't let them pull you off the runway. I end the call and add a new line. Incoming, Uncle plus Docs. Jonah kills the burner and caps the smoker. Madison gathers plates like cleaning up a landing that bumped a little. I corral the papers into a folder, slap a sticky on it. Case file, family coercion / crypto. My breathing evens like pre-Excel. Heart rate paces the range hood. A soft chime, new email. Subject line pricks the same nerve from the banquet hall. Second alert, new beneficiary request mirrored from known contact. Small print below, attempt from IP commonly associated with your family's address. The room shrinks a notch as if the aircraft just dipped altitude. I slide the file to center mass. They're trying again, I say, loud enough to cut the smoke. Madison sets the carving knife down. The blade ticks the board. Jonah looks to me for the signal. Hold the perimeter, I say. Next step, boundary letter, hard deadline, and COAs staged if they escalate. Outside, the smoker's fire settles into coals. I drag a chair in, square my shoulders, and start typing the first lines of the letter that will shut every soft door and leave only the ones on steel hinges. 3 short knocks, 1 long. I open the door. My uncle stands there in a canvas jacket beaded with dew, arms full of hard folders. He comes in the way an old pilot steps into a cockpit, light, certain. We clear the table. He fans out pages, transaction printouts, wallet screenshots, flow charts inked with thick black arrows. The kitchen still smells like BBQ. Fresh printer ink threads through it, and I'm back in ops nights feeding flight plans to a hot machine. I'm sorry about the ceremony, he says without looking up, but this can't wait. His marker taps a string of characters as long as a license plate from some distant planet. Wallet A. From A, money hops through 3 wallets with no shared history, then piles into B. From B converts to another coin, spins once, lands at C. And here, he circles an off-ramp into a bank account with my cousin's last name, annotated in polite English. Family loan settlement. A favorite softener for investigations. I stare at the arrows like a weather radar, no straight lines, only coils. Jonah leans in. Mixing. Uncle nods. There's a whiff of it, not pro-level, but enough to make compliance itch. And this, he lays down another sheet. A family email to a third party, neat as a typed threat. Our girl will front it. She's steady income Navy. The word Navy sits in bold like a sloppy stamp. Madison underlines it with a pencil, framing the exhibit. My chest tightens. Using my uniform as a credit label, the neatest way to turn honor into collateral. Uncle flips to another page. Here's the access log for beneficiary changes on your account, last 7 days, twice from an IP tied to your old house. I'd read that alert tonight, but printed it feels like seeing a wingtip brush the tree line. He doesn't rush. He points at a tiny footer on a different page. DocuSign. Prepared just a formality. Sender, your mother. I swallow. My name sits in the body like a pre-oiled bolt waiting to be cranked. The signature block wears that soft fake hand script, first letters trembling, same wobble I saw on the agreement. I bend closer and catch the cold detail that chills my fingers, the time stamp in the corner, 2 days before the ceremony. Why prep it 2 days early? Jonah asks what I didn't want to say. Uncle exhales, long, heavy. Because the ceremony was the set, you were the stage. The cocktail was a prop. The only thing they needed was your signature. Madison leans back. Balcony light slices her features into hard planes. If she'd sign tonight, she says softly, the whirlpool would have a clean drain, no coercion voluntary. A word from the radio floats back, suspicious activity report. I ask, if I move $1 now, do I skate into SAR territory? Uncle nods. Likely. And when the spin shows up later, the person at the end of the exit, the volunteer, is the first one hauled back. He sets the pen down and meets my eyes. You did right freezing everything. From here on, all in writing. Every threat logged. If they escalate, we have 2 doors, JAG and bank compliance, and do J if it comes to that. Madison pops open her laptop and pings a silver-haired man at the American Legion. After a couple rings, a square face appears, eyes of someone who's stared at ledgers for decades. Heard you need a banker's ear, he says in a voice dry as copy paper. We brief fast. He fires tight questions. Any emails suggesting coercion, clear proof of a forged signature, IP evidence. I lay the files out one by one. He looks, scribbles in a pocket notebook. If family tries to add a beneficiary and push a transfer, that's textbook, he says slowly. I'll ping the branch's compliance lead. And you, he looks straight into the camera, hold your line, no explaining, no verbal deals, paper only. Uncle taps through the stack, building a timeline, mom's email against the bank alerts, the family loan settlement memo against the recent family meeting I skipped. The story shows its bones. There was no bad luck investment. There was a ceremony road paved for a signature, rows of relatives as witnesses, the public shaming as the last psychological shove. I breathe like I'm in the cockpit, adjust pitch before my voice leaves too fast. I'm sending a boundary letter, I say. Deadline legal warnings CC compliance. One more step from them and I trigger COA too. Jonah nods and pours sweet tea into a plastic cup. Madison slides a blank sheet in front of me. Right. I set the pen, but my eyes snag on the DocuSign print. The tiniest box in the corner reads, "Prepared by my sister-in-law's name." She works at a bank. I used to think it suited someone who hated oil smells. Uncle tilts his head. I'd bet she used an internal template or at least dressed it to look clean. I bite my cheek and taste iron. Clean, their favorite word. Clean is the skin of dirty. I draft the letter. Knife-cold opening. I document coercion at the ceremony and attach evidence. Confirm my accounts are frozen. State I will not sign, transfer, or lend my name to any related instrument. Note that all exchanges are preserved. Warn that any attempt to add beneficiaries, forge signatures, or apply pressure will be forwarded to the bank and authorities. Require all contact by email. Set a deadline to withdraw all demands. No resentment, no tears. At the last line, I pause, thumb the wings under my collar, and hear again that click from the hall. One solitary decision that was enough. My phone buzzes. An email from Mom. Subject: sign this quickly for me, it's just a formality. Inside, a DocuSign link to the same file, now with a pre-pasted one-time code and a signature block already filled in the system's default font, in case a recipient accidentally taps agree. I scroll to the footer. This document has been pre-filled by a trusted contact. The trusted contact is my sister-in-law. Cold climbs my neck like stepping into a server room cranked to max. I pull my chair in, sit tall, start the recorder, screenshot every step. Uncle rests a palm on the back of my chair, close enough to brace the storm, not touching. Jonah and Madison go still. The kitchen sounds like a shut-down bay. I fire the warning email, CC the compliance contact the Legion banker sent. Then Dad's name lights the phone, an incoming call like someone across the panel just shoved the throttle. I let it ring out to voicemail. I don't pick up until the checklist is stacked. I add a line in my notebook. After boundary letter, call Dad's speaker, read 3 COAs. I cap the pen, it clicks. Outside, the wind shoulders past the balcony and brings a lick of salt. I lift my eyes. Uncle nods. I nod back. From here on out, this won't be defense only. I set the notebook in the middle of the table like a flight map. 3 lines already inked. COA 1/ COA 2/ COA 3. Each one a different taxiway for the same aircraft. The phone buzzes again, Dad. I let it ring out, inhale, hit record, switch to speaker. I'm here, I say, head up, back to the chair, feet planted like on the pedals. His voice floods in, hot and wet like engine breath. Who do you think you are? Sign the damn thing. Wear that uniform back here and stop embarrassing us. I look at the DocuSign on my screen, the line pre-filled by trusted contact, sharp and cold as a blade. I answer flat. I'll say this once and this call is recorded. I'm laying out 3 courses of action. You choose and you own it. I don't need, he barks. I cut in latch bolt firm. I'm speaking. COA 1, the family withdraws every demand, cancels all prepared documents, sends an email confirming no new beneficiaries, no crypto forms, no forged signatures. Do that within 24 hours and I stay quiet, no reports. My records stay with me for self-protection. I pause half a beat, hear him breathing on the line. COA 2. If the family sends anything else, applies pressure, or touches my accounts, I transmit the file to my unit's JAG to bank compliance, place a long-term fraud alert, and block all contact except in writing. I glance at Madison. She gives the smallest nod. COA 3. If there's a threat, defamation, contact with my command, or further manipulation of relatives to coerce me, I'll escalate to do J under suspected money laundering, cooperate fully, and seek a no-contact order. I won't repeat myself. Silence, one heartbeat, then his dry laugh. Who are you trying to scare? I'll call your CO right now. I plant my elbow on the table and set 6 clean words in place like stones. Go ahead and make the call. Then I'll call first. Jonah slides me a blank card with 3 handwritten words. Log the time. I say it clearly. I'll email a summary of this call to you both at 19:00 tomorrow after I receive a written response. If I don't, I activate COA too. He switches tactics. This family bled for you. You forget who raised you. I touch the wings under my collar. I haven't forgotten anything, I say. I also haven't forgotten who slapped the word family on a half-baked laundering plan. The line goes heavy. Then the old line comes out. You got those wings because of us. I slow my voice. I got them because people taught me the difference between duty and coercion, because people respect a signature, and because of me. Mom's voice cuts in, smaller, sharper. Honey, just sign so it'll be over. People are pressuring us. I glance at the forged signature scan on my desktop. Which people, Mom? And why does your DocuSign show a timestamp 2 days before the ceremony? Why is the trusted contact my sister-in-law? Why does the home IP match the time someone tried to add a beneficiary on my account? I read each line of evidence until it sits heavy on their breathing. This isn't a bad investment. It's a plan with parts. In it, I'm the legal drain. I'm not anyone's drain. Traitor, Dad snaps. Get out of my house. A tiny smile tugs Jonah's mouth, the smile of someone hearing an empty threat hit the floor. I already did, I say, and this is my house. I tap the case file. My house has a checklist, a log, and emails CC'd to compliance. We don't throw cocktails to negotiate here. Madison slides me the cue sheet she wrote out anchor lines. I read them clean to the stop. I will not sign. I will not transfer. I will not lend my name. I will not be a front. I've placed credit freezes, reported fraud, preserved the forged signature, and I have witnesses to what happened at the ceremony. I leave a purposeful inch of silence, then finish. If you contact my command, I will pre-send this file with the recording. And I will say one line enough. There is family coercion tied to suspicious crypto flows. People in uniform understand what that means. A bang hits their side of the line, his hand on a table. You'll regret this. I lift the phone off speaker and speak close to the mic. I've done enough regretting for one lifetime. The rest is for the truth. I put the phone back to speaker and square my tone. The deadline is set 19:00 tomorrow. Email confirming you've withdrawn everything. No email COA 2. Escalation COA 3, we're done. I end the call like pulling a lever. The kitchen stays quiet a few seconds. Then we all exhale, chairs rasp on tile like wheels rolling off the runway. Jonah murmurs, good brief. Madison adds, good boundary. I nod, hit stop on the recorder, save the file. In the notebook I write, call with father complete, deadline set. My hand still trembles a hair, adrenaline melting into steadiness. I draft the summary email. Clear subject, body with timestamps, attached audio, screenshots, the DocuSign copy, IP list, the voicemail clip. CC my uncle, BCC the compliance contact from the Legion banker. I close with the standard line. Any further attempts will be forwarded to appropriate authorities. I review once more. The send arrow blinks blue. I click. Instantly another email pops, Mom. Paragraphs of I just want what's best. A warning not to burn bridges. A fresh link labeled final version, simple sign. At the bottom, one last twist of the screw. If you love this family, don't make us beg. I lean back and stare at the ceiling. They're escalating, I say. Jonah tilts his head. COA 2 on deck. Madison already has a hold for potential report template to JAG open, unsent, waiting for the word. I nod, but don't give it yet. A different sound arrives, not from the laptop, from me. my heartbeat stepping down, even and slow, like easing back onto the runway after a long lap in the dark. The phone buzzes again, not them. American Legion, weekend meeting confirmed. Guest speaker lists my uncle with a short blurb, a note at the bottom. If there's a matter of honor involving a member, we can listen. I show Uncle the screen. He gives one small nod. Tomorrow, you eat and you sleep. Wait for 1900. If they won't pull back, we move. Nobody outruns the rules. I sip water, the cold spreading. Rules are runway. If you don't line up and roll, the aircraft doesn't fly. Once you set the wheels on the center line, the job is keeping the nose straight. I kill the kitchen lights, leave the small amber bulb over the counter, the same color as runway edge lights. On the balcony, the smokers' coals glitter like faint stars. I lay the notebook beside the wings under my collar. Let them touch. Honor first, I say again, not whispering. And in the quiet that follows, I hear the night shift over to a different hour, the one where fear stops asking for my signature. The American Legion Hall is low and wood-dark, fluorescent lights flickering on old metal boards. The air smells like weak coffee and peppermint, the standard scent of Saturday morning meetings everywhere. People greet with a shoulder tap and a "how you holding up?" That doesn't ask for a long story. I sit third row, hands on my thighs, the silver wings under my collar a small anchor. My uncle waits by the lectern, last night's hard folders stacked into a clean, windrow's order. When it's his turn, he doesn't lead with blame. He tells a story about flight paths and life paths, about how a trusted label, uniform, sometimes gets used to block the checkpoint. Then he flips the first page and traces black arrows with a felt tip, wallet to wallet, steady-handed. These are cloud streaks, he says. Not rain. Rain falls straight. This is swirl. He circles the off-ramp into the bank account with my cousin's last name, wide enough for the fourth row to see. A ripple of whispers rises and fades. The ex-banker in the front adjusts his glasses and fires 3 dry questions. Attempts to add a beneficiary, DocuSign timing, IP matching the family address. My uncle produces printouts, fingernail ticking along timestamps. It sounds like a cockpit clock, neither rushed nor slow, just on pace. The back door opens. My parents and cousin come in like a wind shift, chairs scrape, heads turn. My cousin clutches a fresh plastic folder that winks under the lights. Dad cuts in without being called. You holding court on my family in here. Hands on hips, chin up, the register of a man who's won a lot of arguments by being loud. The moderator lifts a palm, voice steady. Everyone will speak. Here we follow order and evidence. Dad scans the room, sees the numbers on the side of rules, and drops into an aisle chair. The seat complains. My uncle continues, tempo unchanged. He throws a temp screen up with the DocuSign image, timestamped 2 days before the ceremony. A few people exhale. Next slide, the email that reads, "Our girl will front it. She's steady income, Navy." The room seems to tighten 2 inches like an aircraft entering cold air. A gray-haired vet at the front snorts. Steady income isn't a stamp to legalize risk. The banker adds, "Trusted contact isn't a license to forge." A dad pops up and points at me. "She's lying. She's ungrateful. She's smearing us to dodge responsibility." Mom clamps his arm, turns to me, voice thin as a violin string. "Sweetheart, don't make a scene. One signature and this ends." My cousin sniffles into his sleeve, the peppermint on his breath turns harsh. I stand. I don't search for pretty words, I borrow from the manuals. "One sentence," I say to the lectern, not my family. "I'm protecting my uniform by refusing to be a front for laundering. I won't sign, won't transfer, won't lend my name. I've kept the evidence and I'll report through proper channels." Silence stretches like a stubborn zipper. The moderator clears his throat, then invites each of my family to speak. Dad goes first, meals he paid for, first day of school, the American refrain of family first. It comes smooth like a speech practiced. But when the banker asks, "Did you prep that DocuSign 2 days early?" His voice drops a gear. "I can't recall." "Then who did?" "My wife and my daughter-in-law." His words thin out, both hands start slapping his knees harder. Mom stands next. She opens with "I only want what's best," then slides into "They're putting pressure on us." "Who are they?" the moderator asks. "The people who put money in with my nephew," she says, eyes dropping to her shoes, the hem of her dress quivering on reflex. My cousin goes last and chooses the fragile part. "I'm scared. I messed up. I just need a little help." But when the banker mentions the off-ramp memo, family loan settlement, his chin ticks up a fraction, a flash of surprise before another layer of tears. "We're not trying anyone here," the moderator says. "We're looking at right and wrong and at honoring the uniform without using it as a shield. My recommendation, the family withdraw every demand in writing today. If not, formal channels will open." A few knuckles tap tabletops, not applause. Agreement from people who settle things with paperwork. Dad whips toward me. "You want me dead." That line is the final card in every household negotiation, pulled from a pocket like a cracked charm. I glance at the wings under my collar. "I want the truth," I say level. "Living or dying is up to a doctor and a conscience." Somewhere a soft huh escapes, not contempt, more like pressure venting. The meeting ends without clapping. People stand, fold chairs, nod the way you nod after a ceremony. A couple brush my sleeve as they pass, saying nothing. The banker shakes my hand, short, firm. "Keep the emails, forward any new attempt." My uncle hugs me, his hands dry and warm like sun-warmed canvas. "One leg done," he says, "still a way home." Outside, the Legion's flag slaps the halyard. Jonah waits by the pickup. Madison hands me a half-cold coffee with milk. "Not bad," she says. "Carried a long way without raising your voice." I smile crooked. We stand in the flagpole's shadow and listen to the halyard tap like a spoon on a cup. My phone buzzes, an email from Mom. Subject, "Don't make yourself a stranger." Attached, a PDF, a letter from your mother. No link, no DocuSign, pages long, opening with "I didn't want to write this." I don't open it. I let it ride the surface like a dolphin beside a hull, then slip away. Back at the apartment, the sun has the washed-out look of an over-laundered sheet. The stairwell is quiet, yesterday's BBQ smoke still faint on the landing. A brown envelope leans on the faded welcome home mat. Mom's handwriting freckles the corner with ink sweat. I pick it up, the paper thunks softly. Jonah watches. Madison watches. "Leave it," I say. I set it on the metal tray by the stove, right next to the white napkin I folded into a triangle last night, the red stain still there. The living room is as quiet as a bay after shutdown. I kick off my shoes and sit on the floor, my back to the couch. The wings tap my sternum once clean. I hear the moderator, no back channels. I hear my uncle's pen, the banker's glasses, Dad's chair surrendering to the rules. I place Mom's envelope beside the little triangle of cloth. It could be an ask or a squeeze. Before I read it, I need a ritual. Not revenge, a border. That night, I let the envelope rest. I boil water, pour it into a mug, and watch the steam lift like runway heat far off. Streetlights blink on slow, bulb by bulb. In my chest, a thought lights clear as centerline lamps. I'm flying the night shift tomorrow. Before I go, I'll deal with the brown envelope. Not to send a message to anyone, just to myself, that once something crosses the line, there is no return path. I kill the living room lights and leave the soft gold over the stove. The envelope sits on the metal tray, the triangle napkin beside it. As I pass, a tiny tick sounds where the bulb catches the tray's edge, ordinary enough to miss, except tonight every sound turns into a marker. I close the bedroom door and think of flight paths, the lap belt across my hips, the faint wing tank smell, and the bitter truths you don't have to reread to memorize. Tomorrow, before shift, I'll decide how to answer a letter that didn't ask a question. And my answer won't be words. I brew a weak pot of coffee, pour half a cup, and let it cool. Morning light slips through the blinds, slides across the metal tray, and points at the brown envelope like a finger. I touch the corner, feel the papery grit, smell cheap ink. I don't open it. I pull a chair and sit at the kitchen table, the accidental command post of the last 2 days, and write one last note to myself. I won't sign, won't wire, won't lend my name. I won't rename love with account numbers. I'll guard my boundary like a runway. I fold the paper and set it on the envelope. Everything that needed saying to other people has been said. This line is for me. Afternoon drops slow as a second hand in a small town clock. Jonah texts blue skies with a shaky little airplane. Madison drops a photo in the group chat, last night's brisket pan with the caption, "Leftovers equals morale." I smile without showing teeth, the kind of smile you keep inside so it won't fall out like a loose screw. I fold my flight suit, check my gloves, check my notebook. Before I lock the door, I come back to the metal tray. I nest a battered steel bowl on the gas burner, slide the brown envelope inside, and light it. No drama, no crackle. The paper pulls in on itself like the last guest at a party slipping out. I lay my own note on top. The flame licks the last sentence and eats the period. The smoke smells like ink and rough cloth. I open the window. Let it go. Nobody needs to see this ritual. Nobody has to. On base, the edge lights blink on like stars in formation. I arrive early. The ramp is quiet. Wind off the bay carries salt and JP8 and wipes my head clean like glass. I touch the wings under my collar and slide the notebook into my thigh pocket. The duty officer gives me a single nod that asks, "You good?" I nod back. Quick brief. Route weather handoffs freaks. My voice sounds even like the last click of a seat latch. On the ladder, I feel 2 invisible hands brace my ankle. The 17-year-old in the shop and the woman from last night at the Legion, both of them debt-free. Night thickens as I taxi. In the headset, Tower rolls through the cadence. No highs, no soft spots. The voice of someone who trusts checklists more than luck. The rows of white lights run out forever. I picture my uncle's marker tracing arrows on wallet maps, the banker's fingernail knocking timestamps, the moderator's line. If not, formal channels will open. A life outside has a runway too. You can't take off from mud, no matter how fast your heart beats. Rotation. The runway slides out of the glass. The city shrinks to scattered squares of light. The bay turns to black silk with a fold of ripple. I bank gently over a neighborhood with a roof I used to call mine. Nothing in me reaches for revenge. Only a white, quiet, hospital wall clean. In my head, unsent for no ears, I say I forgive them. Not because they deserve it, but because I need open air in my own sky. Forgiveness doesn't grant landing rights back into my life. It shortens the old runway of memory so new departures have room. I dim the panel until the needles glow. Wind, altitude, speed, tight as notes in a logbook. In a corner, an email icon blinks. I don't read it. Could be comfort late to the party. Could be another tug on the handle. Either way, it'll be there after the lap and the debrief. Now's about holding heading. An hour later, I set down like a spoon into a bowl. Wheels kiss asphalt. A small, soft sigh like a bell that means welcome home. I taxi in and shut down switches in their order. In the instant between lights out and dark, I picture the triangle napkin and the steel bowl. 2 plain objects, now a legend. What I won't allow gets burned. What I keep gets pinned where it belongs. Debrief in a small room that smells more like coffee than the Legion ever did. Short, true, what to fix, what we nailed, no shine, the OIC nods. Keep that pace. In the hall, Jonah leans on the wall and tosses me a bottle of water. Blue skies, I say. Madison cracks a takeout lid with a few cold slices of brisket. Leftovers still morale. I take a bite. Smoke says warmth can be a recipe, not a favor. Back at the apartment, I click on the kitchen light. The tray is clean. I washed it before I left. No brown envelope. Just a thin ring of ash like the outline of a map erased. I open the window to invite the salt in, set the folded white napkin triangle on the tray's edge, like staking a flag in the corner of a chart when the mission's complete. A handful of emails wait. I skim the inbox, an auto note from the bank confirming the hold, a line from the banker, received, hold your line, and one from Mom, don't make yourself a stranger. Same subject as before. I open it, read 3 words, and close. Some things grow roots if you read them to the end. I don't need a root tonight. Before bed, I unpin the wings and set them on the nightstand. Light bends through them and paints a faint contrail on the ceiling. I think of this year's new sailors, hands shaking through their first safety wire twist, whispering through their first checklist. I text the group, potluck at my place this Saturday. New folks bring anything, BBQ on me. Replies stack, copy. What time? My thumbs type a time, then erase. Afternoon, I send, they'll get it. I go dark. This isn't the scary parking lot dark from the night of the ceremony. It's the thick blanket dark of a barracks, you know, the kind that teaches you to hear your own breathing. I pull the covers up, close my eyes, and in that black I hear the tiniest click of the pin, quiet and stubborn, the way honor works. No audience required, no sharing necessary, as long as you can still hear it yourself. I fall asleep without dreaming of anyone waiting for my signature. Tomorrow I'll get up early, oil the squeaky hinge on the door, and write a shopping list for the potluck. A chosen family needs feeding, easy dishes and stories with know you're strong, so carry it. And if someone asks whether I made peace with my family, I'll say, I made peace with my flight path.